isn't phenomenal cosmic power, but it is an itty-bitty living space. The South Korean thriller Wall to Wall, or 87 square meters, tests the limit of the human psyche and mental endurance. So should this be at the top of your watch list? Woo Sung is a man who finally saves up enough to buy an apartment, only to have it turn into a nightmare filled with financial ruin and mysterious noises from neighboring floors. So the premise for this is there's a housing boom where properties are hard to get, leading to extraordinary rises in prices, and then, just like in real life, prices rise, then fall. And when they fall, it's tough to unload the property and still come out solvent. Woo Sung gets in over his head with a lease in this apartment building that cost him a ridiculous sum of money. And then, as the market begins to crash, he falls behind in payments. And while he's trying to either sell his place or figure out a way to make enough to keep it, strange noises emanate throughout the apartment, creating distress and annoyance, not only for Woo Sung, but for his neighbors as well, leading everyone to blame him for the cause of the racket. Now, the movie is just about 2 hours long, and the reason I'm stating this up front is that there is a point that I felt like the story was beginning to feel just maybe that it could be going towards the end, but it was only halfway through the film. The first hour of this, it is slow, and then it's also repetitive. Now, the repetition is necessary to illustrate the isolation and the desperation Woo Sung begins to experience, which is then combined with his dire situations. Now, the slowness comes from just simply watching the character move depressingly and kind of aimlessly through life. There are scenes of him at work that they don't really add much in the way of development, only continuing to paint the picture of his seemingly doomed life. But at about that halfway point, the storytelling gets a much-needed boost in urgency and anxiety. The noises that are plaguing Woo Sung and his neighbors reach a boiling point, and then the world begins to unravel. We go from an unsettling drama to a full-blown explosive thriller, and the story keeps increasing that pressure through to the end of the movie. Now, the interactions Woo Sung has with his neighbors, they're messy, sometimes unhinged, and then full of doubt. And I loved that I couldn't tell if he was going nuts or if the rest of the building was gaslighting him, maybe just in order to get him to move out. These sequences are uncomfortable thanks to the sketchy and the jumpy mannerisms of Woo Sung. He comes across as someone who is just quickly losing their grasp on reality, or at least their mind, driving them ever closer to something heinous or harmful. And I think contained within this storytelling is a social commentary about the construction practices in apartment buildings within South Korea. Now, I'm not certain of that just simply because I don't live there, but thanks to the central theme that's woven throughout the film, it feels like the plot is working to expose corruption and shoddy work, all while wrapping it up in an exciting thriller. I think some of the characters could have been more fleshed out to give a better understanding of their roles within these types of processes, but we can get the gist of their motives just through some of the dialogue. Now, there is a key element that is revealed towards the climax of the movie. It feels kind of out of place. And I'm not going to get into much detail of it because it can create spoilers, but we watch someone go to absolute extremes to prove a point, which then makes them lose all credibility within their profession. From an excitement and suspense standpoint, it's an excellent addition to the arc, but from a believability perspective, it makes the outcome much less plausible. This didn't break me out of the movie, it was just something that struck me later as I was processing the story as a whole. Now, the emotions displayed in this, they are visceral and raw, especially towards the end, creating this growing sense of dread for me. Woo Sung becomes frantic through his desperation to save his home. And while he goes to extremes to do that, the story creates obstacles that are agonizing and exhilarating to watch. And we can all pretty much tell what's going to happen in certain instances, but that didn't take away from the intensity of the buildup. There's a scene within a police station that has a darkly humorous exchange, and is also wildly stressful. Now again, the outcome is predictable, but it doesn't remove the anxiety. And then the pressure that's crafted thanks to both the performances and the incessant pounding noise that we're subjected to along with the residents, it began to make me twitch and feel the same annoyance as the characters. And plus, not knowing where or really why the sounds were occurring made it even more engaging, despite driving me up the wall. The shot selections also work to reinforce the cagey and unsettled feeling. There are times we're placed in the middle of an irate crowd, feeling the anger that emanates from them as they seethed and pushed towards a violent outburst. And other times we're treated to discombobulating shots that disorient us just as a character would be experiencing. And all of these wonky instances, they enhance and support the growing anxiety. And then when the camera is hyper-focused on Woo Sung, we can see him coming apart and descending into this frenzied madness. So while I could have used a little more swiftness in the first half of the film, we are given the opportunity to sink into the gloomy despair along with the protagonist, placing us in his mindset that sets the stage for unhinged restlessness that arrives within the second half. The urgent dread the story establishes, combined with foreboding hopelessness, all work together to craft an atmosphere that puts our nerves on edge while illustrating the lengths one will go to reverse misery. And while some aspects of character motivations aren't plausible, and more background would have made the commentary stronger, the filming style helps to create and maintain uncertainty and stress, allowing the thrills to seep in and then grip us through to the conclusion. There's no sex or nudity, there's a bunch of profanity, and then a lot of violence. I give Wall to Wall 4 out of 5 couches. So are there any thrillers that you've seen lately that are worth checking out? Let me know about them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.